Okay, we have a new part of our show named Law Stunted Growth. And Stunted Growth, of course, is inspired by another channel. Please watch it. Basketball related content, but this is going to be wrestling related. Of course, we're going to talk about a former WWE Intercontinental Champion, Ryback. I think he has a lot of flack because of the reputation he had over his push back in 2012 to 2013, and then he was just straight up ledged into the mid card when he won at least the IC title. When it was fluctuating around, they kept hot potatoing it. If it were some crappy feud back earlier in 2015, he won it over the middle of the year, and he lost it later, I think October. And then he got in a feud with Kalisto, gotten some tough reputation with backstage over calling himself the kicker. Something involving a pre-show top guy, because he'd be always having good big matches over on the pre-show, and he got an over off it. I remember watching one of his promos when he was going over his leg injury, showing how much dedication he had over in the business, how hard he worked. You can actually feel the conviction. That's what it takes to actually be a top guy. Here's a couple things that Ryback had than many other stars that are even his look doesn't have. A competent catchphrase, a cool theme song, and a defining look. He had the airbrush singlet. He had cool moves like the shell shock, spine buster. He had big lariats. The guy always looked tough. And unlike Strowman, he actually had fun squash matches earlier on in the year, back in 2012, until he was pushed over to face off against CM Punk. Now he's overshadowed over most of his career because of his so-called unsafe work working ability, and I can admit that over some of his matches, he was needing more experience because, of course, we know him as Skip Sheffield. He had a short stint over as a part of the Nexus. He showed that he had a cool clothesline. It's called the Meat Hook, and yeah, he seemed to be a bit green. Then he got overly shafted. He wears a singlet, had a cool theme song, had more energy, had some semblance of charisma. I mean, who didn't like him bullying guys backstage? Who didn't like his stints that he had over with Ryback? He's shown to be humorous, intimidating. You could do a lot of stuff with Ryback, and I just didn't understand why he was in at least one WWE title reign. I thought he had the most potential because I felt like he was more over. He seemed to be a hard worker. He had pretty good matches, even though how much he got shafted over his push because of what happened with CM Punk. I mean, you're gonna take it over with Ryback that only could like injure you a bit, but still put you in a decent match, even if he's not as good as guys like Daniel Bryan or CM Punk or Dolph Ziggler, or go bring it over to Seth Rollins, where he literally was a part of nearly ending Stink's career. Just saying. He doesn't do tope suicidas. He has pretty good charisma. The guy has a defining look. He always look passionate. I mean, hell, he still is able to look the shape he is, and he's vegan now, so you got to give him some credit. He's still able to even do a successful podcast, even though you suspect a guy of his still in decent stock. People would still talk about him. Why isn't he not wrestling? Over the current site of what we're seeing WWE, AEW, and any other wrestling fed of them nearly getting out of business, or just in past good times that they actually used to be a decent fed to make money out of. Ryback just needs a podcast, and I guess that's all he's good for. Uh, it's a bit tough because, and I'm gonna admit this, I liked Ryback. I didn't mind Ryback. His theme song was always cool to hear from. The shell shock used to be one of the cooler moves he used to do with the whole foot stomp thing. Drops him down on his head. He always had a definable way how to talk. He made decent promos, and I liked him as a Heyman guy, even though how short that was. And I thought at least it would be a decent time when they pushed him back to a heel turn, even though he was good as just an anti-hero little monster, pretty much monster top guy that they had for him, like back in 2012. And I think they just shafted it over what Punk said about him. Yeah, that's practically it. I think if he just, yeah, and now he's just saying some dumb stuff on social media, signing over death threats, uh, just having a weird ass reputation. He doesn't seem to be that interested over competently finding a place in WWE or any place else. Because I guess I don't think they'll do anything to actually make him as resembled a guy as he was back in the the early to mid 2010s to what he is now. And it's been a while since he's in the ring, so there's a bit of a questionable tablet you can put about that. I wish he does go back in the ring because he actually has potential, and hopefully, if he goes to places that could possibly fit him, like Impact or possibly back to WWE. Because those are the if they put him on AEW, dude, I swear to God, they're not going to do anything with him. Look what they did to poor Miro. He came from this cool, basic, generic Russian brute badass that was feuding with John Cena. Now he's having this multi-month crap feud with the best friends. Being a gamer, like, you don't make monsters like that. You don't make threats like that. It's good that he won that pay per view match, but it just you see how much he needs more time. And I wish they cut off this whole gamer gimmick and at least make him back to some type of sympathizer or representative of his country and let him beat the ass out of somebody there, making them an underground fighter. Like, there's characters you can make out of this, and I think that's what AEW is lacking on as well. But yeah, this is a stunted growth of Ryback. Hopefully, you guys like this video, agree or disagree. It's all about making freaking dialogue, and I hope most of you guys understand that. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. That's it.